everyone to another IPG session, the last day of the IPG week 3. So today we are for this session on local economic systems, and you go for the next one, Sylvia. So just to begin with, as always, the technical considerations, we're going to ask you to, first of all, rename yourselves. I'm going to ask you to put the name of the region that you're representing, or maybe the name of the organization that you're representing today. And a few things while we go through the discussions. So first of all, try to keep your microphones muted. Do raise your hands if you want to say something, perhaps after the presentation, so that we don't interrupt the speakers. Also, feel free to leave any questions in the chat as we go through the presentations or even the discussions, if there's any comments that you have and you know, you're waiting. And then this is the agenda for today. So we're going to have first a quick introduction to what the innovation practice groups are. And then we are going to hear from Tipperary today. They're going to present their work. Then we're going to have a discussion with some experts there in the room. And then we'll have, as always, some time for a bit of a peer learning discussion where we can learn from each other. On to the next one. So innovation practice groups, for those of you who don't know what these are meant to be spaces for cross-regional learning and exchange. The idea here is that we bring both best practices, ideas that, you know, the different regions are developing. We try to bridge expertise, practice, you know, the knowledge that we have across the expertise in the consortium, but also the experiences from the regions, and with, you know, the participation from everyone. And what we're creating in these spaces, in the end, what we're trying to build is a community of practice, of innovation practice. That's what we call it. And so moving to the next one, just to give you a bit of a context on the timeline, this is what we have done so far in terms of the innovation practice group. So we started back in October with an event in person, and then we've had 2 more rounds online. And this is the 3rd and final online round of IPGs for the first cohorts. And we'll be doing another session soon with both of our cohorts. So today we'll be using Miro, as we have been doing for all the sessions if you've joined us. We'll be sharing the link a bit later, but for now, I just wanted to say, I want you to look at the last 2 parts, the ones on the bottom, because the wall of resources is for you to share any resources among yourselves. And then the last part is where we'll be updating or uploading all of the materials for today. So the PPTs, the recording, everything is going to be available in this Miro board. We will also be following up via email, and we'll send this again, but the Miro is going to stay alive. And okay, and this is just to say we have Veggie in the room. Veggie is a cartoonist that has been working with us already for 2 years. She's going to be taking some time during our session to, you know, create some of the art that she makes. And at the end of the session, we're going to be able to vote some of these cartoons. And before you move to the other slide, Sylvia, I just realized we haven't done our amazing check-in, and I do want to, just to get us warm up. So I want to take just 2 minutes maximum to ask you all to just type in the chat, who are you, which is the region or like the whatever place, city that you're based in, and reply to this question that I'm putting in the chat, which is, if you were a biomaterial or bio-based product, what would you be and why? So just take 1 minute while the rest of us get ready for what's coming. And I haven't really thought about this myself, so I'll take a few more minutes afterwards and reply to that. Let's see. Okay, biochar, because it's amazing. It has so many uses and applications. Okay, biochar. Bio, yeah, okay. Compostable coffee boards. Okay, interesting. when I get in the morning. That's a very creative response, Kit, actually. We are what we eat bio. Good one. And biogenic gas for bowels in our drinks. Okay, thank you so much. You can keep them coming, but with that, I think it's time for me to pass it over to my colleague Kostas, who will tell you a bit more about today's session. Thank you.
Thank you, Paloma. Good morning, everyone. I am Kostas Delis from the Athens University of Economics and Business. We're partners in the Pathways to Resilience project. And today's IPG session and IPG sessions in local economic systems. If we can move to the next slide, you've probably seen this again. So you know that local economic systems is a key pillar underpinning the 5 key community systems identified by the mission on adaptation. And the overarching aim is to integrate climate resilience and climate resilience objectives into business models of bridging environmental with economic resilience through mostly upskilling, reskilling professionals to facilitate the transition, transforming economic systems to assist provisioning systems, so this intersection between the two, and innovation in business and resilient value chains, and as we will probably see today, fostering local innovation ecosystems. So the next slide is about very briefly what the Pathways to Resilience project is doing, referring to local economic systems. So through its procedures, the regional resilience journey and the adaptation investment cycle, we adopt a systemic approach towards transformational adaptation, which understands the deep interdependencies within the local economic systems and identifies leverage points and incorporates diverse stakeholders and their perspectives into the adaptation actions. So we aim to co-shape business models for local economic systems that integrate adaptation measures and the adaptation options that we so often discuss about into supply chains, investment strategies, and we take this into consideration early on through our financial and investment process, which is the adaptation investment cycle. So a little bit about bioeconomy, which is the theme of today. I will leave the details to the experts, just a very brief introduction. So in a nutshell, solutions from bioeconomy contribute significantly to regional adaptation objectives by promoting both environmental and economic resilience through inter alia sustainable resource use, reducing greenhouse gas emissions, enhancing soil health, and supporting local circular economies. As we will see, all regional authorities and stakeholders across the EU and Europe in general implement these activities, supporting by detailed and specific EU frameworks, including funding and policy frameworks, which act as a catalyst for sustainable development and regional resilience. Today, we will feature the region of Tipperary in Ireland, so we're very happy to have them with us, and they will be talking about how they're fostering bioeconomy solutions into and integrate them in their strategy, in their P2R strategy towards transformational adaptation. We will hear from them about how this is supporting local economic and innovative potential, and a little bit about how they have addressed the issue of stakeholder engagement through the collaboration of different partners and the integration of bioeconomy and sustainable solutions into business practices. So it's a very, very interesting presentation on their side. With us, we have 5 speakers, so 3 speakers from the region of Tipperary. We will be sharing the floor. So Claire Lee is the Climate Action Coordinator for Tipperary, for the Tipperary County Council Climate Action Office, and she has been managing the development of the first Tipperary Local Authority Climate Action Plan. She holds a Bachelor of Science in Agriculture and the Environment and a Master's degree in Spatial Planning. Elaine Cullinan is also from the Tipperary region, and she leads the management of Tipperary's Bioscale Up project, which is a 5 million euro department-funded initiative aimed at scaling up bioeconomy innovation at the campus, and she's also the program manager for the Tipperary Pathways to Resilience project, so working very closely with us. And Anik is also representing the region of Tipperary. She holds a master's degree in nematology, which I have to admit didn't know was a thing until yesterday, so thank you for this, and a PhD in biology from Ghent University in Belgium, and she's currently serving as Assistant Climate Action Tipperary County Council, where she plays an active role in the P2R project, and we're really happy to have them with us. Next is my colleague from the National Technical University of Athens, Assistant Professor Anestis Blissidis. He's a chemical engineer. He is also an adjunct faculty lecturer in the MSc program Bioeconomy, Circular Economy, and Sustainable Development at the University of Piraeus, and his research focuses on sustainable biorefineries and bioprocesses for the production of biofuels, biochemicals, biopolymers, and compost, with emphasis on waste valorization and white biotechnologies. And last but not least, from Climate Kick, Denise Julian, who is leading is the senior program manager of the Ireland Deep Demonstration Initiative at Climate Kick, supporting the Irish agri-food sector, and has been working closely both with the region of Tipperary but also other stakeholders in Ireland. She has an extensive experience working with public and private stakeholders in the agri-food value chain in Ireland and beyond. And after this hopefully brief introduction, I will give the floor to the Tipperary team, so Claire, Elaine, and Anik. The floor is yours, and we're very eager to hear what you have to say on the bioeconomy strategy.
Thank you, Kostas. Can everybody hear me and see my screen?
Yep,
fantastic. Thank you for the introduction, Kostas. I'm Claire from Tipperary. As you mentioned, I'm the coordinator for climate action. I'm just going to really quickly, again, just introduce the team. So we have here the photograph of the three of us. Elaine is the P2R project manager. Anik is assisting in the climate adaptation perspective, and I'm the coordinator of climate action. We also have Magpie Atlantic Limited. They are one of our partners in the project as well. They're a European level project with expert in the bioeconomy. So this presentation, the three of us, myself, Anik and Elaine, are going to present. I'm going to talk about governance and the local authority role. Anik is going to talk about climate risk and adaptation for Tipperary. And Elaine is going to talk about the P2R project and bioeconomy. So firstly, welcome from Tipperary. You might all have heard at this stage that Tipperary is now one of the 25 best places to visit in the world in 2026, which is fantastic for Tipperary, and it is well worth visiting. You can see there Tipperary is a small county in Ireland. We have 31 local authorities, would you believe, in the country, so we're one of 31. It's in terms of its physical area, it's quite large. In terms of counties, it's a very rural county. We've lots of towns and villages, but no big city or anything like that. We have lovely green grasslands, a rich agricultural sector. And that's really one of the considerations for this project. We have a very rich and strong agricultural sector. And I suppose that comes with challenges in terms of adapting to our changing climate and ensuring that our water qualities are maintained as well, because our water quality is under pressure as a result of nutrient management, etc. We also have in Tipperary the National Bioeconomy Campus, and this is based in the county, and it's there for a lot of reasons, including the support of the local authority over the last over 10 years now, support in developing that. So bioeconomy is critical for Tipperary. Let's go to the next slide. Sorry. I wanted to just say a few words, quick few words on what a local authority does, how it operates and how it's funded. So in Ireland, the local authorities are quite the services are not all available in a local authority. Government services are often centralized. Our health services, our water management and provision, our educational services and our agricultural services aren't the direct responsibility of a local authority. We have different responsibilities, more localized. We have a budget in our local authority, and that's funded from local businesses through rates. There's a lot of competition for budgets, so it's very difficult to make a case for a budget support for certain things. You have to fight, I suppose, for your place. In terms of government, the government does have a very substantial climate action fund and does provide assistance and financial support to projects in Ireland. But also for counties in Ireland, we're very dependent on European Union funding. And Tipperary has been really lucky, and particularly, I suppose, for that bioeconomy support, in that part of the county is located in the Just Transition Fund. You can see a map there. So that's given us access to funding, which we've really availed of over the last few years. There's other funding sources. For example, this P2R project, which we're delighted to have, which is a Horizon Europe Research and Innovation Programme. So that's how we fund our innovation in Tipperary. I mentioned there the types of services that council provides. Whilst we're localised, we're very important. We provide a lot of services, a huge number of individual services if you break them down. Local authorities are very important because we're very close to the people. Whereas maybe the departmental, the national education or agricultural system is very high level. In a local authority, we're very connected to the communities and people and businesses on the ground. So that's where we have our strengths. So we're responsible for provision of planning services. We set out the planning vision for the county at a local level every year. And for the bioeconomy, that's very important. We also have that critical environmental and climate action role as well. It's a new role for local authorities. So Tipperary County Council has produced a climate action plan in 2024. And that looks at all the capacities of a local authority in terms of ensuring climate action is embedded into its services. And this slide here maybe explains that in a little bit more detail. So as a local authority, we're a big corporate entity as such. We have about 1,000 staff working for us. We have a fleet, we have buildings and facilities. We use energy. So we have full accountability. We must be responsible for our own energy use and mitigating of energy. So that's where we are fully responsible. But in terms of adaptation and mitigation generally, across all those other services and communities, our role is influencing, coordinating, facilitating, and advocating for change. So I suppose in terms of advocating, as I mentioned, we create that vision through the local authority planning office for how the county will develop and grow. We coordinate efforts with stakeholders. We can organise meetings and community events with great capacity for that. And we regulate. We regulate again through licensing and planning. So we're very influential. And in terms of the bioeconomy, it's that area outlined in red, the influencing, coordinating, facilitating, and advocating for. That's what a local authority has strengths. I have two slides here just to show all the different, I suppose, functions of a local authority and what we're doing around climate adaptation in general. We work with local communities. We provide funding and grants to help them develop biodiversity, active travel, retrofitting programs. In our own capital projects, we integrate nature-based solutions across our buildings and public open spaces. And we work with, for example, business sectors. You can see there the farmers down in the bottom and the bioeconomy logo. So in terms of adaptation, this is critical. Mitigation is the same. We work with communities, we work with our fleet, we work with the bioeconomy as well, because they're important for mitigation as well, for reducing emissions through the circular concept, the circular economy concept. So a huge range of climate action initiatives across the local authority. This slide is possibly familiar to everybody in Europe. It just gives us that sense of what climate action, how it's built across our services and functions and regions in Europe. So we have that national United Nations framework for climate action, and that gave rise to the Paris Agreement, which set out our long-term vision, our 2030 to 2050 visions for climate action. And that evolves down to the European Green Deal and our own national legislation. So we have a Climate Action and Low Carbon Development Act, and that really steers us in how we mitigate and adapt for climate action. And it informs our local climate action plan and ultimately our vision for our bioeconomy. So that's just to give some context. This is my last slide. So what we have here is just an image there of our local authority climate action plan. So there's 100 actions in the climate action plan across all our services: active travel, business development, water protection, town centre development, emissions reduction, all those there's actions. But Action 100 is very specific here to, it states that Tipperary County Council will seek to actively support the development of the bioeconomy in Tipperary, including new and emerging technologies, looking at our National Bioeconomy Campus, whilst advocating and exerting influence to ensure bioeconomy-related development and activities promote climate action and adaptation co-benefits. So this is what we're delivering through our P2R project. So I am going to now hand over to Anik. Anik is going to talk through our climate risk assessment, which we have in place in Tipperary, adaptation and the potentials of the bioeconomy in that space. Okay, Anik, I'll steer your slides for you.
Thank you very much, Claire. So as you just mentioned, I will focus on key climate risks for Tipperary. So about the climate in Ireland in general, Met Éireann, it provides meteorological service to Irish climate. So it's stated that the climate in Ireland is very much influenced by the Atlantic Ocean and the North Atlantic drift. And this makes Ireland experience a temperate maritime climate, very much characterized by high humidity, frequent rainfall all year round. Winters are relatively cool, and we have a mild summer with the temperature ranging from 14 to 16 degrees. As Tipperary is an inland county, there is a lot of, we have diversity in the topography. So there are low land and high land. This provides kind of microclimates across the county. And Tipperary experiences greater rainfall and more variation in the temperature across seasons. So in terms of vulnerability of the county to climate change, river flooding has been identified as the main climate risk in the county. The geography of Tipperary is characterized by many rivers, especially the River Shore and the River Shannon flow through the county. And when we in the event of extreme precipitation, river flooding become a big challenge. In addition to flooding, and like the rest of the other parts of Ireland, Tipperary is exposed to storm events, heat waves, droughts, and other climate hazards. And these extreme weather events in association with the climate variation can affect vital aspects of the economy of the county, can cause damages to infrastructures, loss of critical services, and in some cases, public health can be a serious issue. Next slide, please. So in terms of climate risk assessment, our most recent national climate change risk assessment have been published in June 2025 by the Environmental Protection Agency of Ireland. And this document is very much inspired by the European Climate Risk Assessment. In the local context, the Tier 1 Climate Change Risk Assessment has been commissioned by Tipperary County Council to support the development of the local authority climate action plan. This first phase climate risk assessment, it's a qualitative assessment of the potential risk to climate change in the county, and it used regional and national reports. And no quantitative local data was included in it, but it gave us pretty much a preliminary understanding of those potential risks that the county is exposed to. In that document, we have the current climate risk. And in addition to that, it's also important to know how likely these current risks are going to evolve in the future and be prepared and adapt to it. So I've touched bit on the current climate risk in my previous slide. Next slide, please, Claire. In relation to the future climate risk and their impact on the environment, it has been identified that the above average surface temperature is going to be frequent in the future if nothing is done, and the impact on the environment will be catastrophic. And in addition to that, heat waves, extreme, the severe windstorm, drought will cause major impact on the environment as well. River flooding has a high score. The projected impact is 357, and it's going to be frequent in the future with major impact on infrastructure damage, health and well-being, and economical and cultural heritage. Severe windstorm and extreme precipitation are going to be very frequent in the future. So what are we doing to improve the situation in Tipperary? Next slide, please. So at the very start of the P2O project, we've been asked to fill out a self-assessment questionnaire, and this is to evaluate Tipperary County readiness, our capacity and capability to embark on the regional resilience journey. And this figure now shows the individual scorecard for Tipperary. So the results showed that across all the phases of the RRG, the Regional Resilience Journey, Tipperary scored medium in all the phases, except the third step of the second phase, which is in relation to the co-creation of a shared vision, and also the last step of the third phase of the RG in relation to preparing for implementation, where we scored high. For all the key enabling conditions that were listed, Tipperary scored medium, and our overall combined score was 5.4, which is medium as well. So this shows that Tipperary was somewhere on the way in the regional resilience journey. We didn't start from scratch, but improvement was needed across all the phases on our regional journey. So next slide, please, Claire. So at national level, the bioeconomy presents a transformative opportunity for Ireland to achieve our climate action goal. So our climate goal for 2030 and 2050, which are in relation to the reduction of greenhouse gas emission by 51% by 2030 and becoming climate neutral by 2050, bioeconomy has been identified as one of the main solutions to support this transition. So, as we might all know, the bioeconomy supports the substitution of fossil-based material by bio-based material. It supports recycling nutrients, the production of renewable energy, and enhancing carbon sequestration. It also supports bioeconomy and the creation of sustainable jobs. Next slide, please, Claire. So as part of Tipperary's story, anaerobic digestion, it's one of the tools. It's one of the tools that can help us to achieve our bioeconomy targets in the county. So anaerobic digestion, it's a biological process that breaks down organic matter such as agricultural residue, food waste, using microorganisms to in the absence of oxygen. And two main products are created, the biogas and the digested. It provides a lot of benefits, including environmental protection, the renewable energy. It produces like greenhouse gas, it reduces the greenhouse gas emission, generate biogas, and more importantly, it produces a high nutrient-rich digestate, which is used as fertilizer in agriculture. Next slide, please. So this slide, it's a very interesting research that is being carried out at Chagas. Chagas is the Agricultural and Food Development Authority in Ireland. And this group of researchers are exploring nutrient recovery from digestate and its role in water quality improvement. So management of excess digestate, it's a problem in Ireland. So mainly due to nutrient management storage challenges. So because there is nutrient overload in digestate, the wrong application can lead to water pollution, a problem through runoff. So this can pose a serious problem to aquatic life and the biodiversity. So this group of researchers are using a specific technology to recover excess of nutrients such as nitrogen and phosphorus from digestate, and this enable a safe application of on sustainable lands. The recovered nutrients can be converted into organic fertilizers. So this technology, it's enhancing water quality, which, especially in the context of catchment, can pose can be really critical to water pollution. So another example, Claire, can you switch to the next slide, please? Another example tool of bioeconomy that we advocating and it's supporting, promoting in the country is the biochar. Biochar is a solid carbon rich residue, and it's very similar to charcoal. And this is obtained by exposing the organic matter to a very high temperature, and it can go up to 900 degrees in the absence or in low oxygen environments. And the process is called pyrolysis. And pyrolysis, like basically it prevents the organic matter to completely combust and into ash and the release of carbon dioxide. So it unlocks the carbon in the material, and this has a wide benefit for the environment and especially to agriculture. It can offer a very long storage of carbon compared to the natural carbon sequestration in plants. It's also provide a good way to manage agricultural and forest waste, and lower fertilizers is needed in agriculture when biochar is applied. It also produces renewable energy, enhances water and nutrient use efficiency. So in Tipperary, we are advocating for, these are just two examples of tools that we're using advocating, and then like through capacity building and so on. So that being said, I think this is my last slide. Yes, I'll pass it on to Elaine to give updates on the bioeconomy and the progress in the context of Tipperary. Thank you.
Thank you, Anik. Thank you for that, and good morning, everybody. So yeah, we'll take it on to the bioeconomy now, and what Tipperary, taking it from national level, I suppose, to local level, and what Tipperary, what we're doing in the bioeconomy, what we're striving to achieve. So we like this slide. It's just the three main pathways used: reduce, substitute, and regenerate. I suppose they're, when we talk about bioeconomy in Tipperary, we're really talking about how our county can grow and thrive in a sustainable way, using our natural resources wisely while protecting the environment. So if we focus on reducing emissions from the bioeconomy itself, for example, improving efficiency in farming, forestry, food production, that way we're using less energy and creating less waste. Substituting then, we can substitute fossil-based materials and fuels with bio-based alternatives. In Tipperary, that could mean, and it does mean, producing biogas from farm waste, for example, using timber and hemp instead of plastics and concrete, and supporting bio-based local industries. Regenerate then, we aim to regenerate, restoring our ecosystems and storing carbon in our soils, our forests and our products. So using these three pathways, reduce, substitute and regenerate, Tipperary County Council is helping us support a stronger, more sustainable local economy that supports the people and nature. Move on there, Claire, thanks. Bioeconomy potential and challenges then. In Tipperary, we see the bioeconomy as a key part of how we can create a sustainable future for our communities. So we have a real opportunity to use our local natural resources like forestry, grass, crops, food byproducts in smarter, more high-value ways. Using climate change mitigation, we could use renewable energy, sustainable farming, better land use. Circular economy, we can make sure materials and waste are reused, for example, turning our agricultural byproducts into food waste into biogas and animal feed or compost. Our food system transportation, there's potential to build local food processing and innovation hubs in our towns and villages, and we'll talk about that a little further on. And then beyond food, the bioeconomy also connects to sectors like construction, chemicals and packaging, where we can replace fossil-based materials with sustainable bio-based alternatives. But of course, yes, there are challenges too, and this, I suppose, is where local leadership comes in. We need to build our knowledge and awareness about what the bioeconomy actually is, both for businesses and communities. We need to invest in research and innovation so Tipperary can test and scale up new technologies like anaerobic digestion that Anik mentioned, or bioproduct manufacturing. And we'll talk about our scale up project a little later on. Finally, we need to clear regulation and markets that reward sustainable production and make it easier to bring bio-based products to consumers and to the market. This slide, I suppose, is talking about the main challenges that face the bioeconomy and how they affect us here in Tipperary. So even though the bioeconomy can help cut emissions, store carbon, replace fossil fuels, it still, I suppose, doesn't get enough attention in national climate policy. Most of the focus there is on energy and transport. But for counties like Tipperary, where the biggest opportunity here is in agriculture, bio-based solutions can really make a difference. The bioeconomy also needs better coordination. It touches so many areas, from farming to waste to enterprise. We feel what we're striving to do is that Tipperary can show leadership by joining the dots, connecting the farmers, the researchers, the communities and the businesses. So while the national challenges are real, we're in a strong position to lead by example here in Tipperary and building as a local circular low carbon economy. Move on there, Claire. So all these feeds into our local economic systems in Tipperary and the bioeconomy. And it's all about using what we already have here, like our land, our forests, our water, and even using our waste to create jobs and useful products instead of bringing things in from the inside. Bioeconomy in Tipperary, as the slide shows there, is strongly based in farming and food, forestry and wood, circular economy and innovation hubs, places like our National Bioeconomy Campus that I will be talking about. And why this matters: it keeps value, it keeps jobs in Tipperary, reduces waste and imports, and supports a greener future for our local communities. So Tipperary County Council and the bioeconomy and the part we're playing at the moment. For example, I'm a bioeconomy development officer within the local authority. So Tipperary County Council has invested in a resource such as myself and the climate action team. And we really can play a key role in bringing stakeholders together. We have ensured bioeconomy is embedded in our climate action plans, our county development plans, our local economic plans, and that Tipperary County Council there's very strong collaboration between ourselves and the Irish Bioeconomy Foundation that are based in Tipperary. We work with them very, very closely on both bioeconomy capital and European projects. Next slide there, Claire. So at the heart of Tipperary, I suppose this is the heart of our bioeconomy work. We have a 455 hectare site called Lachine, classified as a green energy park. Our county development plan identifies Lachine as one of the 6 designated sites within the EU for piloting the next generation of the bioeconomy. The Irish Bioeconomy Foundation is based there. There is a master plan in process at the moment for the full site, and the overall campus was recently purchased by a company called AQS Environmental Solutions. Next slide there, Claire. Just go back, yeah, and this one. Okay, so they say a picture speaks 1,000 words. So what we have here is a section of Lachine. The building you see there in the middle, kind of long rectangular building. Tipperary County Council has leased that building to the Irish Bioeconomy Foundation, and that building will become the national pilot scale-up facility. Just behind it there, the plot of land, Tipperary County Council has bought this 10 acres. Through Just Transition funding, we have received further funding to develop and master plan this 10 acres. And the vision is for that is that it'll become Ireland's national hub for sustainable innovation. So that is the 10 acres, that is bio scale up building. I'll just move on now and just explain a little bit more about these projects. So yeah, through the Just Transition funding, 1 million euros was secured to develop, I suppose, large scale service landholding in public ownership. And what Just Transition addresses is an area severely impacted by the loss of peat and mine industry employment, facilitating the creation of jobs with a bioeconomy focus. And these rural-based sustainable jobs will be created by companies using the technologies that will be developed within the adjoining pilot bioeconomy facility in that building that I showed you in the picture in the Lachine National Bioeconomy Campus. So bio scale up, the current building there at Lachine will become the National Bioscale-up facility, and in parallel, the facility will also provide training, SME services, and act as a centre and an exemplar for bioeconomy knowledge dissemination. So the little diagram there on the left-hand side, you can see where ideas and research currently at small scale can be brought up to bench scale and pilot production scale. So from TRL level 4, technology readiness level 4, up to about TRL level 7 at this facility. This is our sign on the outside of the building. There you can see that it's acknowledged the project is co-funded by the Government of Ireland and the European Union through the European Just Transition Fund Programme 2021 to 2027. On there to the next one, Claire. So I suppose this is bioscale up in a diagram. You can see here there's 5 or 6 different technologies used: biotechnology, precision fermentation, biomanufacturing, all leading to with stakeholder collaboration, education, training, and public engagement. And you see there as well the small lab scale from 1 litre and large lab scale 50 litres, right up to pilot scale 3,000 litre plus. So research that's currently going on in universities at desk level around the country. They can bring their work and their ideas to bioscale up, and it's going to be an open access facility. Pay as you go for these researchers. On the right hand side, you see our partners, our industry partners, and our research organizations that are working with us on this bioscale up project. It's just an idea of some of the so it's feedstock in and output, and the various applications for the 6 main projects. So it's just interesting to see the various applications that will come out of these, such as biofuels, pharmaceuticals, platform chemicals, fragrances and cosmetics, food and beverages, additives, pest repellents, solvents. These are all the possibilities with this particular project through the 6 technologies being used. And then Pathways to Resilience has brought it all into focus for us. Everybody here knows what the Pathways to Resilience project is trying to achieve, but in Tipperary, enabling the strengthening of regional capacity for transformative climate action focused on capacity building, education and outreach for a sustainable circular bioeconomy. And as we were working on our baseline report, it really helped us focus and reflect on how our climate action team and how our economic development and bioeconomy team can work together to achieve this. And going forward, we're now working on our strategy, our action plan, and our investment plan as well. Next slide there, Claire. So our P2R achievements to date, we have partnered with key stakeholders to raise awareness and build capacity across the region. We've had many stakeholder engagements, circular bioeconomy trainings and outreach by our Rediscovery Centre. Collaborating with our local enterprise officer and our partners who are on the call here as well today, Magpie Atlantic, to support businesses across Tipperary for an EU fund scan at zero cost to those businesses. As we mentioned, further embedding our climate action into Tipperary County Council core governance, and the actions that have been identified in the local area action plan being delivered by a multidisciplinary group between the climate action team and the bioeconomic development team run right across the organisation. So we're addressing data gaps by partnering with universities, with our climate action coordinators and national bodies, as well as for example, the bioscale-up projects and our biomethane for carbon and communities and the Climax project. So we just mentioned Magpie, our partners there in this project, and they have helped us identify Tipperary-based businesses to engage with who have a green agenda, circular economy focus. And Magpie have offered a preliminary EU grant scan to companies interested in bioeconomy and climate resilience. All the while working with our local enterprise office. And that's a picture there at a community information day. We had the P2R team, myself and Anik and Ita there from our local enterprise office in the one picture. I mentioned stakeholder engagements and the partnerships led by Tipperary County Council and centred on the National Bioeconomy Campus have really leveraged a lot of investment and collaborations. So research partnerships with our third level institutions such as University of Limerick, TUS, Biorbic, the Department of Agriculture, Food and Marine, Teagasc and Climate Kick. Some pictures there of all these people around the table focusing on P2R, focusing on bioeconomy in Tipperary, which has been very useful for us. I mentioned the Rediscovery Centre earlier. This is just a picture of primary school training on climate change and circular bioeconomy. And this all happened as part of our community, low carbon community in information day. Groups of school children got some training on the basics of climate change and circular bioeconomy. It was very, very popular and went very well for us. And it's just some pictures to finish off with. Our All Ireland Bioeconomy Summit 2025, we were in attendance at that. This picture of Claire, myself and Denise there. And the larger picture there includes the biomethane for carbon and community team, the climate action team, the P2R team, and members of the Irish Bioeconomy Foundation there as well. So you can get an idea of the collaboration that is happening in Tipperary. And then, yes, just last week we presented our Tipperary story at the Teagasc event, Harnessing Bioeconomy Solution for Climate Adaptation, hosted by Teagasc, but coordinated by Climate Kick and Denise here and her team. And we were delighted to share our Tipperary story at that event and get a slight visit of the anaerobic digestion plant there that Anik featured in a picture there earlier on as well. So transformative adaptation pathways to resilience really has helped us and helps regions to better understand their climate risks, develop their pathways to be better prepared and cope with the changing climate, and to test and deploy innovative solutions needed to build resilience. And we have really found that useful and to link the two together for us. And that is it from Tipperary. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much. Very insightful. I would like to, we have already some questions in the minor board, but maybe address them all together. And I would like to give the floor to our experts. So for a brief intervention based on what we saw from the Tipperary County. And I will give the floor to Denise for a short intervention and then to Ernest. So Denise, the floor is yours.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Yeah, fantastic presentation there, guys. Team Tipperary. And I guess all I want to really add is just it's so impressive to see how you go from your high levels. And actually, this has been over a number of years. I know P2R has come in the last year, but just so that I guess others understand, you guys started this journey a bit back, and there are things that are happening that are accelerating your focus on how you can leverage bioeconomy solution to support some of the changes that you're talking about. What I just also want to point out is that we work in Ireland across all of the local authorities, and what one massive benefit from having a local authority like Tipperary is the cross-learning. I know that you're doing that here in P2R, but we're doing that in Ireland as well. And them sharing their experience and the pitfalls and the different things that they've learned as they've gone along. And also having that Lachine Bioeconomy Campus where people can come and see and test and do different things. Because whilst you have that bioscale up, you also have other facilities that are in place and will be in place on that campus. So it just is really a nice focal point, but also the learning for the other local authorities who are maybe not as mature as Tipperary in their thinking. They can really maybe leapfrog over some of the activities and you know, and start to implement things so that we have a quicker scale up and acceleration of solutions. I don't want to go on too much. I prefer to respond to questions. So just, it's been a joy working with Tipperary and actually with all of the Irish local authorities that I've engaged with, because they're very keen to see how bioeconomy can help. And that's also the environment, the ecosystem in Ireland, because whilst in the legislation and in the regulations, maybe it's not that apparent, but the government in the last few years is really focusing on bioeconomy. And here I want to say circular bioeconomy. In Ireland, we always say circular bioeconomy because you could have bioeconomy systems that become linear. And so we're very focused on that and the cascading and maximizing the valorization of all the different biomass flows that we have across Ireland. So the focus from central government has really escalated in the last couple of years, and you're seeing that starting to pay dividends. So for example, Ireland next year is hosting the the Global Bioeconomy Summit in Dublin. And that again is just recognizing, I think, the path, not just the local authorities, but that the government is actively following, because again, we are highly dependent on rural areas and farming. And we know the bioeconomy is a great solution to support the reduction of emissions from those bioeconomy sectors that we have in Ireland that are very, very important culturally, but also economically. And so, yeah, so the work in local authorities is a big focus for central government, and it's one of the main pillars in their action plan is to support local authorities to adopt some of this. So I'm going to stop talking. I could keep talking, but I'm going to stop there and leave it there.
Thank you. I'm pretty sure we're gonna have you talking in a bit, some more as well. And last but not least, Anestis Vlisidis from the NTUA. So brief intervention from you as well.
Thank you, Kostas, and I would like to thank the organizers for inviting me here in this workshop. I would also like to thank the Tipperary County Council team for this lovely presentation. It's always nice to see that great things are happening and are about to happen in other parts of Europe. Here in Greece, local regions are struggling in order to get some funding in order to do such actions, circular economy actions, circular bioeconomy actions. And I have many things in my mind at the moment. However, I will try to limit it a little bit and pass it to questions. There are three major things, in my opinion, that bioeconomy should focus on. Renewable resources of energy, of course, we need to focus on that. We need to consume clean, renewable energy sources. The cascade use of biomass, we need to use land and biomass in order to feed the people, to feed the animals first, and then try to make use out of it the most of the remaining of the biomass in order to produce biochemicals. It's very important to note out that energy can be produced from renewable resources, various renewable resources. However, bioproducts and biomaterials, the only true alternative to fossil fuels is biomass. And of course, something that is also mentioned many times in your presentation is the foster local circular routes. We need to seek for industrial symbiosis opportunity, and we need to extend this sector not only to focus in the industrial symbiosis, but also add in this the agricultural sector. So we have the agricultural sector and the use of bioproducts of this sector, the industrial sector with the food manufacturing industries. Also here there are many opportunities for industrial symbiosis, and we need to also add in this nexus the municipalities and the local regions and the counties in order to see how we can collaborate it, what streams can go in each sector. I'm focusing, my research is focused mainly on waste utilization. So we need to separate the waste at source. I'm sure that this is something that you already do. And there are activities, we collaborate with the municipality here, the municipality of Halandri, and this is one of the few municipalities in Greece that separate at source its waste, and also tries to seek for opportunities, symbiosis opportunities, like they had this local brewery and they use the brewery spent grace from this local brewery in a bakery in order to produce some biscuits. So it's a simple. It can't. Maybe it shouldn't be complicated. Maybe with simple solutions you can solve problems. Regarding the technologies now, there are many technologies. Simple technologies like anaerobic digestion or pyrolysis. We need to advance these technologies. Anaerobic digestion is not enough. It produces a low value product. We need to upgrade biogas. We need to go for biomethane production in order to be able to enrich also this biomethane to natural gas grid. I also saw a value of death in some of your graph. This is a major problem in European Union at the moment in the bioeconomy sector and in the industrial biotechnology sector. It's always easy to go from TRL 3 to 4 or 5, but then you have this value of death that you need to struggle to find the funding to go beyond. I really hope that this bioscale project will have this opportunity to go beyond and to foster to TRL 8 or 9. That's all from my side, Kostas. Let's see the questions in order to extend this discussion.
Thank you both. Very interesting points. Before moving to the questions, I know we've been having some questions in the Miro, and we'll go right there. Maybe if the Tipperary team have a quick reflection on the two insights, very briefly, and then we can spread the discussion via the questions.
Yep, I'll kick off there. Thank you, Kostas. Yeah, look, I just wanted to comment there on Denise's points there around that capacity building and governance. Local authorities in Ireland, traditionally, I suppose they've had very localized roles in that they manage maintain roads and maintain bridges, develop grants, deal on the site with water pipes and shovels. But that day is gone. Local authorities now are becoming much more focused on capacity building for enterprise and climate action and businesses and communities to help them achieve adaptation and mitigation targets. So I suppose Tipperary County Council is quite exemplary in its approach to this, in that it really supported the bioeconomy. Denise mentioned that this isn't something that's happened in the space of a year or two. Really, the bioeconomy support for Tipperary started 10 years ago. We had a mine, the Lisheen mine in Tipperary, it closed with the loss of a huge number of jobs in an area that already, I suppose, didn't have a huge choice of employment, a Just Transition Fund area with Just Transition challenges. So the council went behind this and did what it could to support it and partnered with the likes of the Irish Bioeconomy Foundation. And they identified the site as an European innovation site for bioeconomy 10 years ago. And then the council worked on its corporate strategies. Its county development plan identified the National Bioeconomy Campus as an area for bioeconomy growth. The planning status was set for it at that point. It was further built into the Climate Action Plan. We developed a decarbonising zone in that area, which gives it a national focus as well. And the council then went as far as purchasing, which again is very innovative and ambitious for a local authority, purchased 10 acres in the site, in the campus, to enable that bioscale-up development to happen. And it uses leverage on all that governance and policy development and its ability to apply for large-scale funding through the EU Just Transition Fund. So it enabled that. So it's that vision, and as Denise said, other local authorities that are maybe behind can learn from that and get into this space much quicker. So we like to think that we're leading the way with our partners. We have very strong partnerships now with businesses and technologies, third level institutes, and Climate Kick and the Department of Agriculture. So we'll definitely keep promoting bioeconomy as much as we can as a local authority. Okay, thank you.
Can I just add a couple of things there?
Yes, of course.
And it really, Anastasis, sorry, I probably made a real mess of your name. I'm sorry about that. You raised some excellent points, and actually what you've seen today is one of the local authorities, one of the county councils. But across Ireland, certainly the government has invested heavily in the last however many years in research and work around bioeconomy. So I'll put the link in there. There's an impressive amount of work, and it's called Inform Bio. So there's a database that is available. I mean, it's mind-blowing the amount of stuff in here. But as a local authority, you can go, or as any business, you can go in there and say, what biomass is produced and is available in County X, and you can get all of that detail. The other thing, as you talk about other technologies, again, invested heavily in biorefining and looking at alternative, you know, high-end products and taking very simple biomass that we have and seeing how can you maximize the outputs from that. So again, I'll put some links in on either on Miro or in the chat here. And one last thing, in Ireland, we talk about food first. So Ireland has not gone down the path of just growing biomass for energy. So it's always looking at that's how do we make food first. I'm not saying that you don't get some small amounts of stuff that is grown like that, but the focus is we want to maximize the value from our resources. So we don't want to just drop into just producing for energy, so that we recognize that those side streams from all of our different processes can then feed in. So I think what Tipperary presented is how they're translating that into action on the ground in their local authority. But there's in the ecosystem around all of the local authorities, as I say, the government has really upped its game on bioeconomy, and you can see that now starting to come through the pipeline. I'm going to stop talking again now.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I think we have a lot of insights for a fruitful discussion. Just jumping in the Miro questions, and please feel free to ask some more in the Miro or in the chat, or even raise your hand. And I'm gonna pick, I think, two are quite interconnected, and just to bring us back as non-bioeconomy experts to the issue of adaptation and resilience. So these actions, these initiatives and major developments, for example, in the Lysine project, have they been, has there been consideration for their resilience to floods or other hazards? So what are the climate adaptation considerations in these actions from the TCC? I think this is one of the issues that has been raised. I don't know if Claire, Elaine, or Anik want to jump in on this.
I suppose the Lachine campus is set in quite a rural setting, and we, as a result of the P2R project, we have been bringing climate adaptation information and bringing that to the fore with the Irish bioeconomy team as well, as a result of going through the P2R resilience journey ourselves. It's just early days just yet. I think it's the journey we're on with the Irish Bioeconomy Foundation. So we're certainly, I don't know, Claire, if you have anything else to add there, but from the climate action point of view.
It's a really good question, and it is, I suppose, the core of what we're trying to do. And I think Anik touched on this as well. We are very considerate of the vulnerabilities in Tipperary to climate change and the risks that are arising. So we have a stage 1 climate risk assessment done, and key risks are heavy rainfall, extreme wind events, flooding, and occasionally drought as well. We're conscious of that, and conscious of the role that the bioeconomy can play. Now, there's practices and techniques that an effective bioeconomy, circular bioeconomy, can deliver in a county like Tipperary. We've a intensive agricultural system, and that brings nutrient overload and soil pressure issues, soil degradation pressures as well. So the processes such as pyrolysis and the use of biochar, the use of anaerobic digestion, these are very critical potentials for supporting our bioeconomy. I was talking to a researcher yesterday, actually, in the Technological University of the Shannon, who's working on a soils project. Apologies, my phone is ringing here like mad. Somebody really wants to get me. she mentioned that the use of biochar it's a soil conditioner itself, but it can be actually soaked in nutrients and actually become a substrate. And those nutrients can be extracted from digestate. As Anik mentioned there, there's research going on around this. So that those nutrients can be used in a separate catchment, maybe to a catchment that's already overloaded. But these are the types of technologies that can combat a catchment that's already under pressure from drought or heavy extreme participation. It's that management. So that's the kind of links that we're looking at in terms of. So I don't know, does any of our experts want to comment on that?
I think Anestis has a comment.
Yes, excellent point. There is a great research going on using the biochar in various applications. Now in my department, in my school, we are trying to connect the biological processes, let's say anaerobic digestion and biogas upgrade, with the thermochemical processes, pyrolysis and gasification. Both of these produce a sort of char, either biochar, and we are trying to use the biochar that is produced from the thermochemical processes to biological processes, because in biological processes they can immobilize nutrients, as you said, nitrogen, phosphorus, etc. Also, they immobilize the microbes, and they help in getting more yields and better processing of the organic material. So there are many advantages of this. However, again, you need to connect these two technologies, and when you're scaling up, you need to know geographically that these two technologies needs to be very close together.
Thank you. I know it's really interesting to hear about best practices and examples and replicability approaches from the rest of Europe. I know that our colleague Kit from P2R has added some information on the Miro for the work in Scottish Highlands, which is highly has a high degree of connection with what we have been discussing here. I don't know if there are any questions from the chat. I'm trying to look simultaneously. I think not. Personally, again, moving away from the technical aspects of the bioeconomy, which the experts in the region have really delved into. I know you've been integrating this into the just transition procedure for the region. So personally, and I think we would like to know if the transition was already supported by the enabling conditions, for example, skills or human capital in the region in general, or did it require an extra reskilling and upskilling process? Did you find it that it was smooth to move from, as you said, procedures that were prevalent there for decades into these new aspects? Were the skills and the behavioral aspect or were there inertia, so to speak, in changing, in moving forward to this strategy?
Yeah.
I can take that one, will Eileen? And you can jump in as well there. Good question. The County Council, as I mentioned, has been focusing on bioeconomy potentials for up to 10 years. But I think really in the last couple of years, and with the P2R support particularly, I suppose the ambition has really increased. The County Council developed its Climate Action Office in 2023 with government funding. So that was an enabler. And then through the P2R funding, we were able to support Elaine's position. Elaine is a business development officer, but she's able to focus on bioeconomy specifically. And that's really enabled Tipperary to reach out and I suppose connect with potentials that wouldn't have been available before. So P2R has certainly helped a lot, and it's been a great vehicle for this journey. Do you want to make a comment on that, Elaine?
Just around the Just Transition funding, and so your question, Costas, around changing or changing people, getting people moving or thinking that way. Tipperary County Council receives funding for training, receive a certain amount of funding through our community team for training, as well to an educational program. So that has fed into that, and information and education around what can be achieved in the just transition area through bioeconomy and our decarbonisation zone, and particularly within the decarbonisation zone, it encompasses about 12 villages, 7,000 of population. So we're reaching out to that population as well, you know.
And I'd just like just to comment as well. Our partners Magpie on this P2R journey have been very useful as well. Electors here on the call with us, and that they have enabled us to support businesses as well more effectively and directly with real expertise, you know, at the European level around the bioeconomy. So, you know, I think fantastic. Over the last 2 years, things definitely have intensified.
So building capacity for
add, because the question as well, there's one on Miro about the investment, which I guess links to this discussion, because I guess the Just Transition Fund and those types of public funding only get you so far. It helps de-risk, but once you start talking about the higher TRL levels, that's where you need private investors coming in, because at that point you have a business case. You know, there's something viable there that can be scaled up at industrial level. What that facility, that bioscale up does, it closes that little gap that you see, because we have excellent universities and research networks in Ireland that get you up to not the bench, the next version up. But what they need really to convince investors is that next level of testing at that higher scale that you see, the last level that will now be available publicly. It's a publicly owned facility that I can rent to come and test something at scale. So it just helps provide infrastructure that allows researchers and businesses who have a potential product that they want to see, how would we scale that up and how does it respond in that environment, and do we get the same sort of, I don't know, characteristics and different things, that we do that. There are other things, you know, so that's really an important facility to help close that gap in Ireland. Now, is it enough? And I think we still are learning in Ireland. There's lots that we need to figure out how to do better and how to attract, you know, and build capability in certain areas that, you know, we are always looking outwards as well to see, you know, we look a lot towards Denmark because we see their similar kind of very high dependence on agriculture, but also way ahead of Ireland in terms of how they've applied bioeconomy. So we're actively always looking outwards to see where can we learn new stuff? How would this apply into Ireland? Oh, let's see what New Zealand has done, because they're also very similar. So across the board, there's this desire to figure out, well, how can we learn from others as well? And I think that's important to see that as well. Okay, I'm done.
Yes, Anesti, you have your hand up.
Just a comment about the things that Denise just said. All of us, we need to come up with attractive business plans. We need to go to investors and persuade them in order to invest their monies in higher TRLs. Not only with numbers. Numbers are okay, are fine, and economic numbers, but also in a general sustainability assessment umbrella, including also the environmental impact and also the social impact. So not just with economic numbers like NPV, etc., but also include the carbon footprint, what will be what is the impact of the current technologies and the current refineries, and what will happen, what will be the improved let's say, environmental position with the technologies that they will invest. And also the social aspect. So a sustainability umbrella, including all three pillars, will be great.
Yes, both economic and financial justification or arguments are needed, to leverage at this point in this uncertainty. I know we have one last question, Paloma. I don't know if we have a couple of minutes just to maybe quickly touch upon the potential trade-offs between mitigation and adaptation objectives from your work in Tipperary. I don't know if you can have a go on this from the team.
What is the question?
The question is, do you see any trade-offs between mitigation and adaptation objectives from all these bioeconomy related actions? So do you or synergies thereof potentially, let's not stick to the negative.
It's a really good question as well, a really important question. There is a national bioeconomy strategy developed in Ireland and a national biomethane action plan as well. And these do talk about the I suppose the capacity of our environment to manage these new practices and that there won't be an impact. And they will be developing guidance around that. But it is something we're very aware of. And as Denise said, we are promoting a circular bioeconomy, that this must be sustainable. And that's embedded in our climate action plan. So yeah, I don't know if any of the experts want to comment on that as well, but it's a really good question and really important. We're committed to protecting our environment and meeting our targets for climate action. So yeah.
That's not to say we can't be afraid to try stuff and then say, well, that didn't work exactly how we had hoped, because that fail fast, learn from it can also be useful. Obviously, you do that in the earlier stages. You're not at TRL level 9 doing some of that, but you see in some of the projects ongoing in Ireland where we are at TRL level 9, there is a desire to approach it in a different way. So to take a cooperative approach. Cooperatives are really important in Irish culture and how we have developed over 100 years. So to try and embed those kind of cooperative ideals and approaches in how we approach to make sure you give value back at the right level, but also to try and future-proof some of those types of facilities and actions by leaving space for adaptation as new technologies come on stream or as things change, because you cannot always think about what all that's going to happen. So to try and build some redundancy into some aspects so that you can respond to a certain extent. I mean, sometimes things will become obsolescent, yeah, but and that's just how it is sometimes. But it's that we learn from it.
Exactly, and it's the mission objective is action. So thank you very much. I know we can continue this discussion, but I need to hand over to Paloma, and please have a look in the Miro board. I think our cartoons are done and they're pretty amazing. So Paloma.
Yes, so I am going to first of all launch a poll. Please let me know if you can see this, because we had an issue yesterday. Can you see it on the screen? And are you able to select options? I need a hands up, something. Yeah, okay, great. So I'm going to let you fill this in. Please do. I think it was a great session. I want to say really thank you so much for Tipperary. The presentation was really inspiring, and we will get back to you because I think we can bring some of this in a different format as well. And thank you so much for our experts as well, and for Kostas for moderating, of course. So I am going to share with you, this is what Becky has been working on throughout the session. I think this is great. Becky, you surprise me every single time, honestly. I think this is because I'm not an artist here, so it is great, honestly, great work. Please come here, and if you don't have time now, please come like right after the session, because we will be selecting some of these cartoons. So you just need to take one of these dots and vote on your favorites. I think it's very easy. We also have here, because I don't think we've been able to mention this too much, and I think it's worth mentioning, this is where you can also click on Betty's profile to check out on her work. Yeah, so this is one thing. Have a look at this. And I'm not going to open the other link I have there because I put it in the chat, but it's just to remind you that today at 2:30, we have the last session of the IPG Week 3, which is on knowledge and data, which looks promising. We have a lot of people coming for this session, so and a great presentation happening then. So please do join us. We encourage you to do so. We really hope that you enjoyed today's session and that you really, you know, found the whole week of the IPGs inspiring. And this is why we need your feedback on the feedback form. So please do fill that in. And with that, I am just going to let you all go and have a lovely afternoon and a lovely weekend. So thank you so much for everyone participating today.
Thank you, Paloma.
Thank you.
Paloma.